Andrew Tate is back on Piers Morgan Uncensored show. Andrew Tate is back on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show. Uh, this is his second or third time on the show. Uh, it's I it is one of the two. Um, Refresh my memory in the comments. Um, this is a super long video, man. I will see if I can review this whole thing in its entirety. We will see, man. Yeah, I haven't been on YouTube in a minute. I had to get a new phone. I got a new phone now. I got a lot more storage. I don't have any videos on my phone, on the new phone. Uh, yeah, my old phone was messed up. It was tripping, bro. It uh, it stopped charging. It stopped turning on. It became fully inoperable. It was crazy, man. I am glad I got a new phone. I am back on the grind, the YouTube grind, man. Let's see what's let's hear this. Let's see this.
Andrew, it's been nearly a year since we last sat down together. Very different time. It was in my London studio, and 8 days after that, you got arrested. What's the year been like?
It's certainly been an interesting one.
The
I've
eldest Tate brother, the older brother,
5 months locked in my house.
Tristan Tate.
I've been constrained this entire
also
year. I spent 93 days in a Romanian dungeon. 5 months locked in my.
What's the year been like?
It's certainly been an interesting one. I've been constrained this entire year. I spent 93 days in a Romanian dungeon. 5 months locked in my house, and now I'm restrained within the country of Romania. So it's certainly been a turbulent time.
The moment you got arrested, it was all pretty dramatic. The video came out, the world saw it. A lot of people smashing into your home. Did you have any inkling, warning that something like this may happen?
I knew it. I kept saying before I was arrested on every single podcast I did, I said you get 3 lives in the world. The first life, they're going to cancel you, they're going to slander you, they're going to delete your access to social media so you can't defend yourself. The second life, they're going to try and put you in jail for no reason, and if you continue to speak against the power, they're going to assassinate you. I knew I was on my second life. I kept saying it. I knew it was coming. I didn't know the bullshit reason they'd use, but I found out once I was in a cell.
When you were arrested, you don't speak any Romanian at all, and they didn't speak English to you.
Correct.
So you were taken to a cell. You had no idea what they were alleging you'd done.
I was arrested on the 27th of December, so because of Christmas and New Year's and other problems, they couldn't even translate my paperwork for 2 weeks. So for the first 2 weeks I was in a prison cell, I had no idea why. I was given papers in Romanian. I could read human trafficking. I understood, but I was like, human trafficking who, when, what? None of this makes sense. I waited 2 entire weeks inside of my cell before I was given an English translation, and then I realized exactly how ridiculous the whole case was. Just to clarify, I'm accused of helping my friends get big on TikTok. That is what I'm accused of. I told some girls I know how to post on TikTok
This
to
guy,
viral when
this
I was
guy
at the
is
time the most viral
wild,
person
bro.
on the planet.
TikTok,
and they were saying
bro.
I'm a human trafficker for that reason. It is insane.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
It's more serious than the way
He's bugging. He said the same BS when Candace Owens interviewed him, bro. He said TikTok. He said because of what yeah. The evasion of accountability, bro. The fit, yeah. It is odious, man. The evasion, man. It truly is indubitably is detestable. This BS that he's giving people, man, is this guy is a clown, bro. Straight up and down, man. I agree with certain things that Andrew Tate says. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it effed up. But this guy, He's dishonest, man. Yeah, his dishonesty is to be reviled, to be execrated.
Big on TikTok. That is what I'm accused of. I told some girls I know how to post on TikTok to become viral when I was at the time the most viral person
He
on
said the same BS
big on
BS
TikTok. That is what
to
I'm
Candace
accused of. I
Owens,
told
bro.
some girls I know how to post on TikTok to become viral when I was at the time the most viral person on the planet. And they are saying I'm a huge rapper for that reason. It is insane. Well, TikTok to
Yeah,
become
at one
viral
point
when
he
I
was
at
the most
time the most
viral,
person
the
on
most
the planet. And they are
Googled,
saying I'm a
the
huge
most
rapper for that reason. It
searched
is insane.
person in the world, in the
TikTok to
world.
become viral when I was at the time the most
Straight up and
viral
down.
person on the planet. And they are saying I'm a huge rapper for that reason. TikTok to become viral when I was at the time the most viral person.
He was searched
on
more
TikTok. That is what I'm
than
accused of. I
Kardashian,
told some
Kim
girls I
Kardashian,
know
I think,
how to
Donald
post on
Trump.
TikTok to become viral. Big on TikTok. That is what I'm accused of. I told some girls I know how to post on TikTok to become viral when I was at the time the most viral person on the planet. And they are saying I'm a huge rapper for that reason. It is insane.
Well, we'll come to what you've been accused of. It's more serious
Nah,
than
I
the way
think
you've
he
categorized.
was more searched than Kim Kardashian, Donald Trump,
Rapper for that reason. It is insane.
Well, we'll come to what you've been accused
and
of. It's
the
more
rest
serious than the way
of
you've categorized it, but we'll come to that.
the world.
There is a lot of speculation.
Rapper for that reason. It is insane.
Well,
I
we'll
meant
come
to
what
say,
you've been
and
accused of. It's more serious than the
everyone
way
else
you've categorized it, but we'll come to that.
else in the
There is a
world,
lot of speculation
in the
that
world.
the reason
Rapper for that reason. It is insane. As the whole case was. Just to clarify, I'm accused of helping my friends get big on TikTok. That is what I'm accused of. I told some girls I know how to post on TikTok to become viral when
Gullible
I was at
people
the time
believe
the most viral
the
person
BS
on
that
planet.
Andrew
And
Tate
they were
says.
saying I'm a huge rapper for that reason.
Over
It is
credulous,
insane.
naive
Well,
people.
we'll come to what you've been accused of. It's more serious than the way you've categorized it, but we'll come
Yeah.
to that. There is a lot of speculation that the reason the Romanian authorities knew that you were back, because you were en route, I believe, to Dubai for a New Year's Eve party, is that you were interacting with Greta Thunberg on social media, and you had a pizza in front of you which came from a well-known Romanian pizza store. Is there any truth to that?
I don't think so. I think that they know where I was. A lot of people knew where I was. And they had instructions from higher up to teach me a lesson. I was on my second life, and that's exactly what I'm going through right now.
There's an irony to your situation, because you always said the reason you came to Romania was precisely because you thought you could avoid
evade
being in this situation.
Well, I loved Romania, and it's a
criminal
strong Christian
consequences
nation with
for things that he was accused of committing in the UK.
Was precisely because you thought you could avoid being in this situation.
Well, I loved Romania, and it's a strong Christian nation with strong traditional values. I want
He bragged about it. He shamelessly, and yeah, it was crazy, man.
There's an irony to your situation, because you always said the reason you came to Romania was precisely because you thought you could avoid being in this situation.
Well, I loved Romania, and it's a strong Christian nation with strong traditional values. I want a life where I'm left alone by government. I don't believe in big government. I'm trying to avoid that. It felt like Romania was a place which was very safe societally, and the government was not too interested or involved in people's lives. But things change. Also, your freedom and your ability to speak the truth is heavily correlated to your insignificance. When you become large and people start listening to what you say, you soon realize you no longer have freedom of speech. And it doesn't matter where you are on the planet, if they decide you must be assassinated, you will be assassinated.
You in jail, what was that like?
Romanian jail is not English jail.
You described it. What was the cell like?
I have to be careful what I say because I don't want to insult the Romanian justice system, which I'm still beholden to. However, it's exactly as bad as people would expect it to be. Luckily, it was in the winter, so the cockroaches were not too bad. It was also during Ramadan, so I didn't have to eat so much, which was helpful because of the situation. I think the most stressful thing about it is I had no idea how long I was going to be in there for. I was dragged from my house, I was given papers in Romanian, I didn't know why I was there. I found out why I was there and it was garbage. I couldn't seem to get out. I could have been held for years. It's very stressful. And the best thing you can do is turn to God and train as hard as possible. I did thousands of push-ups a day every
Were
single
you in
day.
solitary? in this period, 3 months?
No, I wasn't in solitary the entire time. Sometimes I was by myself, sometimes I was with other guys, and sometimes I was with my brother. So.
Tristan Tate.
When you were on your own, were they keeping you in there for 24 hours a day? Were you allowed out?
No, I wasn't allowed out. There was no yard time. It's 24 hours a day, locked in a single room, probably 3 or 4 steps large, and you do nothing but stare at the wall. And
How many days did you do that for? On your own? 11, 12? I mean, that's a pretty grim scenario for anyone.
Life's grim.
For you, always being Mr. Confident, you said, interestingly, that you wouldn't categorize what you were feeling as depression because you don't believe in the concept of depression. You and I have argued about that before. But it
You
sounds
cannot
to
prove
me
the
from what I've
existence
seen
of
you
that.
say when you talked about this.
They say depression is a
Depression,
mental
you and I have
illness,
argued
but
about
you
that
cannot
before.
prove the
But it
existence
sounds
of
to
that.
me from what I've seen you
I
say
agree
when you
with
talked about
Andrew
this,
Tate on that.
that was pretty close
Depression
to
is not a
depression, what
real
you were feeling.
disease,
Life's
a
grim.
real mental
And if
disease.
you want to be a superhero, you have to understand in every
Some
single superhero
incurable
movie,
disease
he's
that
losing
you
for
cannot
18%
fix.
of the movie. He's grim. And if you want to be a superhero, you have to understand in every single superhero movie, he is losing for 18% of the movie. He's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with Andrew Tate when he says it's beneficial to work out, to exercise, to move your body, to do to that's beneficial. That helps your body, your mind. Yeah, bro. That is what people should do, man. They should work out. It can elongate your lifespan. It's good for your physical health, for your mind. It has mental benefits. It benefits. It can benefit your mood. You can have a positive. You can have a more positive mood. Yeah, man. Yeah, you gotta grind. You gotta work hard. You gotta have discipline. Yeah, man. You gotta put in work.
For you, always being Mr. Confident, you said, interestingly, that you wouldn't categorize what you were feeling as depression because you don't believe in the concept of depression. You and I have argued about that before. But it sounds to me, from what I've seen you say when you talked about this, that was pretty close to depression, what you were feeling.
Life's grim. And if you want to be a superhero, you have to understand in every single superhero movie, he's losing for 18% of the movie. He's going to suffer for the majority.
Days did you do that for? On your own? 11, 12? I mean, that...
It is sad that they don't push natural remedies. They don't push that. They push pills. They push these psychiatric pills, man. Those things can cause deleterious side effects, bro. It's big pharma. Avaricious big pharma. BP only cares about money,
I think the
bro.
most stressful
They
thing
don't
about it
care
is
about cure. They don't care about remediation. They don't care about elimination. They care about. They want you to be a lifelong customer, bro. They want you to be eternally dependent on pills. It's wicked, man. It really is. They don't push exercise. They don't push diet, healthy food, salubrious food.
However, it's exactly as bad as
eating.
people would expect it to
They
be.
push the garbage stuff, but it is. Yeah.
Because I don't want to insult the Romanian justice system, which I'm still beholden to. However, it's exactly as bad as people would expect it to be. Luckily, when people start listening to what you say, you soon realize you no longer have freedom of speech, and it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. If they decide you must be assassinated, you will be assassinated.
You in jail, what was that like?
Romanian
There's
jail is
no
not
test
English
that
jail.
can.
Describe it. What was the cell like?
There's no hair
I
test.
have to be careful what I say because I don't want
test
to
that can
insult the
prove
Romanian
the
justice system, which I'm
existence
still beholden
of
to.
a mental
However,
disease.
it's exactly as bad as people would expect it to be. Luckily, it was in the winter, so
There's
the
no
cockroaches are not too
corroborative
bad.
test. If
It was also during Ramadan, so I didn't have to eat so
You can
much,
prove
which was
the
helpful because of the
existence of-
situation. I think the most stressful thing about it is I had no idea how long I was being there for. I was
Existence
dragged
of
from my
a
house, I was
physical
getting
disease, but
papers
not
in
of a
Romania, I
mental
didn't know why I
disease.
was there. I found out why I was there and it was garbage. I couldn't seem to get out. I could have been held for years.
People can
Very
disagree with
stressful.
that.
And the best thing you can do
Everybody
is turn to
can
God and train as
have
hard
their
as
own
possible. I did thousands of
can
push-ups a
have
day
their
every
Were
own
you in
single day.
opinions,
solitary
but
in this period, 3
I
months?
think mental diseases do not exist.
Stressful. And the best thing you can do is turn to God
They're
and train
psychiatric
as hard as possible. I
opinions,
did
that's what
thousands
they
of
are.
push-ups a day every
Were you
single
in
day.
solitary in this period, 3 months?
No, I wasn't in solitary the entire month, the entire time. Sometimes I was by myself, sometimes I was with other guys, and sometimes I was with my brother, so.
When you were on your own, were they keeping you in there for 24 hours a day? Were you allowed out?
No, I wasn't allowed out. There was no yard time. It was 24 hours a day, locked in a single room, probably 3 or 4 steps large, and you do nothing but stare at the wall, and you.
How many days did you do that for? On your own?
11, 12.
I mean, that's a pretty grim scenario for anyone.
Life's great.
For you, always being Mr. Confident, you said, interestingly, that you wouldn't categorize what you were feeling as depression because you don't believe in the concept of depression. You and I have argued about that before.
Yeah, I
But it
remember
sounds to me, from what I've seen you say when you talked about this, that was pretty close to depression, what you were feeling.
Life's grim. And if you want to be a superhero, you have to understand in every single superhero movie, he's losing for 80% of the movie. He's going to suffer for the majority of the movie before he wins at the end. I've always wanted an exceptional life, Piers, and I'm not a coward. And I knew that by telling the truth about certain issues, I was going to pay the price for it. So I won't say that I deserve to be in jail, but I certainly put myself in there by telling the truth to the populace and telling the truth in living.
But when you're on your own in that cell, what were you thinking?
Yo, I need your help or something. We're pulling up right now.
the mellow ball.
Certainly is. And I think my number one concern when I was in jail, despite the fact that my situation was dire, were my concerns as a man and all the people I had to take care of. And my certainly is. And I think my number one.
It's a long time to self-reflect, right?
It certainly is. The truth to the populace and telling the truth in living.
But when you're on your own in that cell, what were you thinking? It's a long time to self-reflect, right?
It certainly is. And I think my number one concern when I was in jail, despite the fact that my situation was dire, were my concerns as a man and all the people I had to take care of, and my children and my family and the people I pay for and all the people who work for me. And truthfully, I wasn't worried about myself, I was worried about everybody else. And I think that's the true masculine flame.
Did you get emotional? Did you shed tears in your cell?
I'm an emotional man. I think men are hyper emotional. We just have to control it. I was extremely busy inside of my jail cell. I had lots of push-ups to do. I was very concerned about the people on the outside. I was trying my best to get out. It's difficult for me to answer the question because it was an interesting frame of mind. I knew that God was watching and I had to perform. It's very difficult for me to go through life saying I'm the top G, I'm this, I'm that, and speak about mental resilience and mental toughness, and then the second I'm thrown inside of a solitary confinement cell, cower out. I'm not that person. There's some other people who talk about mental toughness and want to give advice, and when bad things happen to them, they end up addicted to prescription drugs. I'm not a coward and I'm not a liar.
No, but it would be perfectly natural to be emotional in that scenario, and there's no shame in admitting that.
Yeah.
I was emotional. I missed people. I missed them, and I knew they missed me. So I felt a strong sense of missing.
But you cried.
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
I mean, that's
Crying
right.
doesn't
I would disagree.
make you soft.
Because you're
It
worried about
depends.
admitting that. You
It
think you're
depends.
Absolutely not. That's a perfectly fine scenario to cry in.
Crying
The
is
act
a
of
natural
crying is an act of
thing.
desperation. To sit and to cry is an act in and of itself. To do push-ups, thinking of your children with tears running down your face, but you're concerned with finishing as many push-ups as possible within that day, I do not consider that crying. I consider that tears running down my face.
When you found out what they were alleging you'd done, sexual assault, exploitation, and so on, what did you feel about that? What was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, the standard playbook. The standard playbook for anybody who speaks up against power is sexual exploitation. Isn't that the normal one they go to? Can't we name like 10 or 15 people right now they've hit with this exact same garbage? Name a full-grown man who's 36 or 37 years old who's not had sexual relations with a woman at some point in the past. And the way the Matrix works is they lie by omission, right? They just hit Russell Brand with it. I think they hit P. Diddy with it this morning. Julian Assange just got hit with it. He's still in a cell.
But lots of people get hit with these allegations and it turns out to be true.
Yeah.
A lot of people get hit with them and they turn out to be false.
So you're
Facts,
trying to
both.
make out all the people you just named.
I agree with both.
Of course I don't know that, but a lot of people get hit and it
But
turns
why
out to
would
be
you
false.
why would you assume they're innocent?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the way the Matrix operates is it chooses something which is heinous. If they accuse me of drug dealing, tell you why. Because the way the Matrix operates is it chooses something which is heinous. If they accuse me of, tell you why. Because the way the Matrix operates is it chooses something which is heinous. Of course I don't know that, but a lot of people get hit and it turns out to be false.
Why would you assume that person is guilty? Also, you shouldn't like automatically think somebody is. You shouldn't think somebody is innocent or guilty until all the facts come out. But a person is innocent until proven guilty, though. A person is innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. Yeah, if somebody gets accused of something, do not automatically think he's this or she is this or that. Wait till all the facts come out.
A lot of people get hit with them and they turn out to be false.
Yeah, but you're sort of trying to make out all the people you just named are innocent. You don't know that.
Of course I don't know that, but a lot of people get hit and it turns out to be false.
Let me know if that makes sense.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the way the Matrix operates is it chooses something which is heinous. He gets got hit with it, he's still in a cell.
But lots of people get hit
Russell
with these
Brand,
allegations
UK
and it turns out to
commentator.
be true.
A lot of people get hit with them and they turn out to be false.
Yeah,
You're sort
he
of
got
trying to make
accused
out all the
of
people you just named are innocent. You don't know that.
sexual
Why
abuse.
would you assume they're innocent?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the way the Matrix operates is it chooses something which is heinous. If they accuse me of drug dealing,
Russell
nobody
Brand
would care.
is one of the
They choose something
bravest,
which is heinous, so the
one of
process
the
itself is a punishment.
most
They damage
based-
your reputation
most
throughout the process,
based
regardless of whether it's
commentators
successful or not.
globally.
Then what they do is they lie by omission. They throw you in a cell, they contact everyone you've ever interacted with. 2,000 people I know were called, and they were looking for one person to say they're a victim. By the way, they failed and did not even find one. But if they did, they would then say, Andrew Tate's victim, he's a sexual assaulter, and they would remove the testimony of the 1,999 people who said I'm a very nice man. Lie by omission, and then they put
I don't think that many people think Andrew Tate is a nice person, but
jail, and that is how the Matrix operates.
I mean, to be clear, I don't know. if
he's
you're
still
guilty or
saying
not.
the Matrix.
You're perfectly entitled to
Still
say
blaming the
that.
Matrix.
And you know, right?
Of course I know.
But I
This
don't
is
know.
this is
and I will
this
await
is
any trial that
contradictory
comes.
to what he
to see.
to the stuff that he's supposed to be against. This blame game and this victimhood mindset. But he's doing that right now, blaming the Matrix. Goofy, bro.
I mean, to be clear, I don't know if you're guilty or not. I do. You're perfectly entitled to say
Nico
that.
said the same thing
And
for,
you know,
when he
right.
after he got deplatformed from YouTube. The Matrix. That's why he got deplatformed. Platformed. Nah, bro. He was bugging. He was extreme. Yeah, he wasn't. Andrew Tate's favorite word. Sneeko was not perspicacious. He was not perspicacious, man.
By the way, they failed and did not even find one. But if they did, they would then say, Andrew Tate's victim, he's a sexual assaulter, and they would remove the testimony of the 1,999 people who said I'm a very nice man. Lie by omission, and then they put together this entire package used the mainstream media to convince the world that you deserve to be in jail, and that is how the Matrix operates.
I mean, to be clear, I don't know if you're guilty or not.
I do.
He said the Matrix in the Candace Owens
say that.
interview too, I think.
And you know, right?
Of course I know.
But I don't know, and I will await
Yeah.
any trial that
Yeah.
comes.
That's
To
logical.
see what comes out of the trial.
Wait
and
for
see
the
what
facts to
happens,
come
right? So
out.
I'm not going to prejudge
Not gonna
the trial.
say
I'm
he's
not gonna
guilty or
judge you
not.
and say I think you're guilty. I don't know, right? We are where we
Facts.
are. You've been charged with
the
serious
people that
crimes. And it's
Assume
like you'll
that
face a
said
trial
he's
and we'll see
innocent
how that
automatically.
plays
The
out,
people that
obviously.
said he's guilty automatically. They're both sides. The people on both sides are biased. And that's sad.
treated by other people.
Certain people hate
Everybody
Andrew
in jail.
Tate so much
Joe
that
is.
they say that he's guilty off the rip. Nah, bro. You gotta wait for the facts to come out. You don't have to like this guy, but you gotta be logical. You have to be logical. The people that simp for Andrew Tate, the people that say he's innocent off top, y'all gotta be logical, bro. It's imperative that
Trial, and we'll see how
that you think logically.
we are where we are. You've been charged with serious crimes, and it's likely you'll face a trial, and we'll see how that all plays out, obviously. Comes to see what comes out of the trial and see what happens, right? So I'm not going to prejudge the trial. I'm not going to judge you and say, I think you're guilty. I don't know, right? We are where we are. You've been charged with serious crimes.
Yeah.
And it's likely you'll face a trial, and we'll see how that all plays
The
out,
outcome.
obviously. Going back to jail, how treated by other people?
Everybody in jail was extremely apologetic to me. All of the staff, the police officers, everyone who worked in jail, the person who served me my meal, everybody was very sorry for what happened to me. They made it very clear they knew it was garbage, and they were apologetic. That was the only vibe I could give you. They were kind of like, listen, you got too big, I'm sorry, this is how things work. And sorry, here's your meal. Nobody had any real problem with me. None of the prisoners had a problem with me.
Did you get into any fights?
There was a couple scenarios where violence could have occurred, but I think once people realize that violence is a certainty and that you do not operate under a fearful realm, they often aren't so interested.
So people threatened you?
I wouldn't say they threatened me, but they would have liked to have got the opportunity to threaten me.
And what happened?
And they realized that would have been a bad decision. And all in all,
Well, what did you say to them? Because you don't speak Romanian, so...
I didn't, you're right. I actually used a quote from Street Fighter. I said, I quoted Dowson, and I said that they do not understand the secrets of yoga fire, because I knew they had no idea what I was talking about. It was near the washing machines, and they looked at me like I was completely crazy, and they walked away.
There's more than one person, correct? And they made it clear what, that they wanted to...
I have to be careful what I say, because I'm still involved in the Romanian judicial system.
Yeah, but that's just an incident in jail. That's
Correct.
nothing to do with the system.
An incident report was written, and it's better I don't mention.
It was a direct threat.
I've had threats, yeah, and I have threats every single day of my life, and I think jail is a hyper-pressurized version of reality, and you need to have an extremely strong mind so you don't attack yourself, and an extremely strong body so others don't attack you. And I understood that there was a threat of violence at all times, and I just decided to go through life extremely respectfully, but make it clear if that's a decision somebody else wants to make, that I'm prepared to partake.
One of the things I would think about, other than my family, immediate family, but one particular member of my family, if I found myself in jail, would be my mother, and what she would be feeling and what she'd be thinking. She's been incredibly supportive to me. I know yours has to you. Did you think about your mother?
I was extremely concerned for her. I was concerned because the media establishment were hounding her. She was obviously very worried, but she knew she raised strong sons. But we're her number one protectors, and I was concerned for her. I wasn't concerned for myself in jail. I didn't even suffer in jail as much as I did when I got out. I didn't have nightmares in jail. I had nightmares once I left jail. I was in the middle of a battle. I don't think you get PTSD while you're fighting. You get it afterwards. I was in the middle of a battle trying to make sure that everybody I love and care about was taken care of and trying to make sure that bills are paid. Please understand, the day I was arrested, which is a year ago, every single bank account that I have was frozen. All of my assets were taken. I haven't had a dollar of money.
10 cars taken, I think.
15.
15 cars and how many properties?
15 cars, 6 properties, 20 diamond watches, gold bars, cash, land, every single bank account, millions and millions and
What was
millions
the
of
total
dollars.
value of everything they seized?
16, 17 million?
Pounds?
Yeah. And they took all of it. And I still don't have access to any of these things.
I mean, as we're doing this interview, you're expecting to hear sometime today as to whether you may get those possessions back. Is it all or nothing? Do you get it all back or nothing?
Correct. As we sit here, the judge is deciding whether I get all of my items returned or I get none of them returned. And truthfully, under the law, I should have never had them taken in the first place. So we're going to see what the judge decides. And I have to put my faith in the Romanian judicial system. I have no other choice. I'm not a coward. I'm not going to run. But let's not talk about the Romanian judicial system. Let's talk about the judicial systems of the world. I've recently seen some very scary decisions in America and England and these Western democratic nations. You see people doing 20 years for attending peaceful protests. So you start to sit and wonder when you're in these situations.
Talking about the
what is a
Jan
trial?
Sixers.
What is a judge? What is this? These are just people in a room.
Unfairly
peaceful process
sentenced
you're talking about?
There's been a few. And I think
a high number of years
I don't want to say names. I
years
saw it somewhere on Twitter. Somebody attended. I think it was
not committing crimes,
protests
not being
What are you talking about? January
violent
6 riots. They were riots, but people died.
Well, it's
They're
interesting.
not peaceful protests.
engaging in insurrection or insurgents.
Attended. I think it was protest, a pro-Trump protest, and they ended up getting 20 years.
What are you talking about? The January 6 riots. They were riots, but people died.
Well, it's
They're
interesting.
not peaceful protests.
Well, it's interesting because the world is
Riots. They were riots, but people died.
Well, it's
They're
interesting.
not peaceful protests.
Well, it's interesting because the world is actually very nuanced.
Not all had bad intentions, but certain people did. But it's crazy that certain people make it seem like everybody had bad intentions. That's cap.
Riots.
The wokies, they
riots,
cap.
but people
They
died.
cap.
Well, it's interesting.
The radical
protests.
Well,
leftists,
it's
the
interesting
wokies, they
because the
cap.
world is actually very nuanced. What I tried.
Well, that wasn't nuanced. That was
About
a
the
huge
Sixers.
mob of
What I
people
tried to do.
attacking the U.S. capital.
They
Well,
lie
what I
because
tried
they
to do is
hate
I try to look at a broad spectrum.
they lie because they disagree politically with those people. The Jan Sixers, they are conservatives. So the wokies, they lie, bro. They lie because they disagree. It's crazy, man.
Because the world is actually very nuanced.
Who's got 20 years for attending a peaceful protest?
I don't want to say names. I'm not a coward. I'm not going to run. But let's not talk about the Romanian judicial system. Let's talk about the judicial systems of the world. I've recently seen some very scary decisions in America and England and these Western democratic nations. You see people do 20 years for attending peaceful
United
protests.
States.
So you start to sit and wonder when you're in these situations. What is a
Sentenced
trial? What is a
for
judge? What is this? These are just people in a room.
Which peaceful protest are you talking about?
There's been a few. Judicial systems of the world. I've recently seen some very scary decisions in America and England and these Western democratic nations. You see people do 20 years for attending peaceful protests.
including
So you start to
United
sit and wonder
States.
when you're in these situations.
People,
What is a trial? What is a judge?
police
What is this? These are just people in a
giving
room.
Which
people a
protest are you
tour,
talking about?
There's been
tour.
a few. And I think
Who's got
People
20
that
years for
were
attending a
high-fiving.
peaceful protest?
I don't want to say names. I saw somewhere on Twitter,
High-fiving.
somebody attended. I think it was protest.
High-fiving,
protest that man attended
dapping,
20 years ago.
What are you talking about in January?
Police. Bro, that's crazy, bro. That's
Who's
crazy.
got 20
They're
years for attending a peaceful
facing
protest?
I don't want to say names.
facing
I saw somewhere on Twitter,
time
somebody
for
attended. I think it was protest, a pro-Trump protest that ended up being 20 years ago.
What are you talking about? The January 6 riots. They were riots, but people died.
Well, it's
They're
interesting.
not peaceful protests.
Well, it's interesting because the world is actually very nuanced. And what I tried.
Well, that wasn't nuanced. That was a huge mob of
What I
people
tried to do.
attacking the U.S. Capitol.
Well, what I tried to do is I try to look at a broad spectrum of events, and I try to put things into a nuanced view, and I don't try and take a instant black or white point of view on things. And the fact that BLM were rioting and destroying the entire nation.
they don't call
for
the
months
rioters
during that
the
exact week.
Antifa
And
BLM
then some other
rioters.
people got together with
They don't hold them accountable, but they hold the Sixers,
serious
the
prison time for
Jan
doing less damage than
Jan
BLM did.
Sixers.
I find
Yeah,
that kind of scary.
the bias, the inconsistency is abhorrent. I agree with Andrew Tate right there.
And then some other people got together
Unbiasedly,
with opposing
I agree.
political view and are facing serious prison time for doing less damage than BLM did.
It's a bit
I find that
harsh
kind of scary.
sentences.
Well, people did die.
Well, in a democratic nation, we should
This-
all be the same under the
This,
law.
it seems like like despotism, tyranny. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It is horrible, bro. Yeah, they made it seem like the Jan Sixers were more detrimental than the BLM and Antifa, different people on the left, the far left, the rioters on the far left. It's a shame, man. The failure to hold people from both sides accountable. Accountable is execrable. odious to be demonized.
Of events, and I try to put things into a nuanced
Yeah,
view. I
the
don't try and
rioters,
take a
the
instant black or
rioters,
white
the
point of view on
rioters,
things. And the fact that BLM were rioting and destroying the entire nation for
the
months
Floyd,
during that exact week.
the
And then some other people got together with an opposing political view and are facing serious prison time for doing less damage than BLM did.
they looted, they stole ATMs, they physically harmed people, they physically harmed people, they burnt, they committed arson, they did worse stuff than but they're seen as oppressed, they're seen as people who can do no wrong. They're eternal victims. That's the false narratives. That's the canard. That's the mendacity that the wokies, that the people, bro. That's what the mainstream media want. That's what they want you to believe, that blacks are eternal victims, bro. They can do no wrong. They are infallible. They are unable to act, to have decorum like everybody else, to have propriety like everybody else. The infantilization of black people is sad, man. Undoubtedly.
Of events.
By white saviors,
I don't try and
by woke
take
people,
a
black
instant
people,
black
woke
or
people,
white
period.
point of view on things.
Period.
And the fact that BLM
Period.
were rioting and destroying the
white
entire
saviors,
nation
the
for
woke
months
blacks.
during that exact week. And then some other people got together with an opposing political view and are facing serious prison time for doing less damage than BLM did. I find that kind of scary.
Well,
Yeah.
people did die.
Well,
Definitely
in a democratic
scary.
nation, we should all be the same under the law.
But actually, just to be clear, on January the 6th, people died.
People died during BLM.
Yeah.
I mean,
People
there are
got hurt.
certainly inconsistencies in the way groups of people have been policed. I think that's the same whether you're talking about the BLM marches to the pro-Palestinian marches and so on, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of inconsistency.
Well, then we agree.
There's a lot of inconsistency in global policing, I think. I think that's a perfectly valid thing to say. But
Yeah.
the idea that someone's got 20 years for being in a peaceful march is not true. The ones who've got the lengthy prison sentences have been held accountable
Well,
for serious crime.
I'm not even condoning January 6th.
Yeah.
I don't even know the ins and outs of January 6th. I wasn't there. I'm not saying it should have happened.
Certain
What
people
I'm saying is
definitely
exactly
had
what
bad
you said.
intentions.
There seems to be
But
some
not all.
massive inconsistencies
Not all.
in global policing now.
Yeah.
So when you end up in a position where you're speaking against the system, as I do, and you understand that there are massive inconsistencies in policing globally, you start to sit down and seriously wonder if you stand a fair chance of a fair trial. In any country on earth. I actually have to give out massive credit to the Romanian judicial system because a judge one day sat down and said, why are these boys in jail, and let us go. I don't know if I would have had a fair shot like that in many other nations.
When you were released from jail after about 3 months, what was that feeling like?
My brother and I were in the same cell at that time. We were extremely happy. I remember using the last of my mouthwash. During the day, I had some rituals to keep me sane, and I'd enjoy one swig of mouthwash a day. It's amazing how bored you get when you're staring at cockroaches, and even that sensation.
So there was literally cockroaches in your cell?
Correct.
How many at any given time?
At night, there was a lot of them.
Like what, dozens or?
Yeah, a few. There was an infestation. We did our best to kill as many as we could. It kept us entertained, but they're annoying to sleep with. But mouthwash was something I enjoyed every day. The sensation of mouthwash made me happy, and I remember using all of my mouthwash. And then instantly my brain started turning to all of the things I need to do. I'm a man, I have responsibilities. For 93 days I wasn't working. I started concerning myself with, okay, I'm about to get out of jail, thank God. I'm gonna leave. Who do I need to take care of? What's paid? Do I have any money left? Are bills due? Is mom okay? Are my children okay? And I just started thinking about work. And as soon as I got out, I didn't sleep for 3 days.
How many children do you have?
That's confidential.
Why?
Because I have enemies. And unfortunately, I didn't want to give them any
But
information.
you have more than one.
I have more than one, correct?
Right. So, obviously you're caring for your children. I understand that as a father, right? And obviously, and you have a partner?
Yes.
Are you married?
No.
I think I asked you last time, and you were a bit cryptic about it. You're not married yet? No. You have a partner who's the mother of your children?
Correct.
The same woman is the mother of all your kids?
confidential.
It's a bit stupid to say confidential.
It is confidential, Piers. It's
I don't
confidential.
think you marry and have kids with this confidential, sure.
It is for me.
Really?
Of course, I am basically #1 enemy of the state, Piers. Look what they've done to me. What have they put me in jail for? At the beginning of this garbage, people were sitting there thinking, maybe he's a human trafficker. It's been a year. Who? Show me a picture. Show me a video. Who's even a victim? There's nobody. The whole thing is made up.
Well, we're going to come to what they say you've done, right? We're going to come to that, but I'm just curious. You come out of prison, you've got no ability to access any of your assets. How have you been functioning financially since then?
I believe in prayer and I trust in God.
The prayer doesn't pay the bills.
And I do my very best.
The prayer doesn't pay the bills.
Unfortunately, absolutely everything I own was seized by the Romanian state, so I'm just going to have to survive and do my very best.
Yeah, but how?
I'm doing my very best.
Have you got wealthy benefactors helping you?
I'm doing my very best. I wish I had wealthy benefactors. I wish I had people on my side.
But you can't function on no income at all.
Seems you can.
How?
I'm doing my very best here.
What does that mean?
It means I'm doing my very best. Absolutely everything I own is taken by the Romanian state. I don't have anything they don't have.
How do you pay for food?
Just have to do my best.
What does that mean?
It means that I believe in God and I pray.
Well, God's not going to pay your bill.
God has been paying my bills so far, it seems. It's amazing how far faith can take you. It's often when you have absolutely nothing left, people turn to faith, but you should turn to faith first. You should believe in God when things are good, and that He will be there when times are bad.
Initially, you were put on this sort of rolling 30-day house arrest, and they kept renewing that month by month by month. And then in June, you and your brother and 2 others were formally charged with rape, trafficking, and forming an organized crime group to sexually exploit women. There were 7 alleged victims named in the indictment. You said at the time, I look forward to being found innocent. You said earlier, who are these women? Well, there are 7 named in the indictment.
Yeah, have you seen the videos of them on the internet saying we're not victims? They made us be victims.
Even though I don't like
Well, that would
Andrew
all
Tate,
be analysed in a trial. Do you
that
know
was
what the trial may
crazy.
be?
I have no idea.
That was crazy.
So,
Do you
It's
believe it will
crazy
happen?
that he was
I'm
that
not
he
sure.
and
It could
Tate
get to a point where a
were
judge, anytime before the trial, decides to
in-
garbage
in-
and throws it away.
in
If
the-
you
in
ask
that
me what I
cell
believe happened,
for
it's very simple. They threw me in
93
a jail
days,
cell
bro.
knowing they had no case, knowing
Crazy.
they had no victims,
That-
but they
that's-
thought
that's
they
crazy.
plastered me all over
That's
the
crazy.
It's very simple.
Even though
They
I
threw
don't
me
like
in a jail cell knowing they had no case,
Andrew
knowing they had no victims, but they thought they
Tristan.
plastered me all over the
It's
MSN, and they
crazy.
say that I'm a
It
bad
is
person,
crazy.
and they call enough people, they will find.
It's crazy that they were in there for that long.
So it could
Do
have
you
gone wrong.
believe it will happen?
I'm not sure. It could get to a point where a judge, anytime before the trial, decides his case is garbage.
And alleged victims named in the indictment. You said at the time, I look forward to being found innocent. You said earlier, who are these women? Well, there are 7 named in the
Is it good? And that He will be there when times are bad.
Initially, you were put on this sort of rolling 30-day house arrest, and they kept renewing that month by month by month. And then in June, you and your brother and 2 others were formally charged with rape, trafficking, and forming an organized crime group to sexually exploit women. There were 7 alleged victims named in the indictment. You said at the time, I look forward to being found innocent. You said earlier, who are these women? Well, there are 7 named in the indictment.
Yeah, have you seen the videos of them on the internet saying we're not victims? They made us be victims. We told them
Well,
we
that
were
will all
victims.
presumably be analysed in a trial. Do you know when the
Yeah.
trial may be?
I have no idea. It's so
Do you believe it will happen?
I'm not sure. It could get to a point where a judge, anytime before the trial, decides his case is garbage and throws it away. If you ask me what I believe happened, it's very simple. They threw me in a jail cell knowing they had no case, knowing they had no victims, but they thought they plastered me all over the MSM, and they say that I'm a bad person, and they call enough people, they will find the case they want. They couldn't find it. You named the date they charged me. They had 6 months to charge me. Usually the Romanian state, even the American embassy confirms to me, charges within 30 days. With me, they used all 6 months trying to build a case and find actual victims of an actual crime. They couldn't. They charged me on the very last possible day they could, unless they had to drop the entire case. And they charged me with garbage because they have nothing. There are no victims. I've done nothing wrong. And they've tried very hard. And let me say something very pertinent to the audience here. It's very difficult when you're thrown inside of a jail cell. You do not have access to social media. You do not have access to money. The entire MSN establishment are calling you a bad person. Hotlines are set up saying, if Andrew Tate's ever hurt you, call this hotline. You're a rich person where people may want to get money from you and exploit you and extract resource from you. And they're sitting here calling anyone you've ever known. They called my gardener's daughter, who I've never even spoken to, asking if I've ever done anything wrong to her or said anything wrong to her, trying to find victims of a crime that don't exist. It's actually a miracle from God that no one's come out trying to extract money from me. Whole thing is garbage. They could do this to anybody. Piers, they could do this to you. They could put you in a cell, put all over the media you're a sexual exploiter, and for 3 months talk about how bad you are when you can't defend yourself, and call everyone you've ever interacted with. And if anybody you were ever rude to once decides they want a payday or some fame, they can use it against you. It's insane.
The Romanian authorities' prosecution files accuse you of using verbal and physical abuse to keep women in line, taking 50%, I believe, of the women's online income, although I believe that figure could vary, could be up to 80%. Is that right?
No, they accuse me of exploiting women who did TikTok. The same women who say we
this
were
guy
not
keeps
exploiting,
saying
he just told us
TikTok,
how to
bro.
do TikTok.
This guy's
Also, in the
bugging.
prosecution file,
Yo,
we wanna talk
Tate
about
is
it. There's not
wild,
a
bro.
single bank transfer. There's not a single piece of evidence for any money. So I'm accused
Yeah.
of making money
This-
from TikTok,
this
but they
guy.
haven't found any money. There's no money, and the victims are saying, I didn't exploit them to use TikTok.
What you-
The whole
Oh,
thing
man.
is a joke.
What is, I think, problematic for you is the war room, which was a group of...
Miscategorized and
So
misunderstood.
it's called the war room.
Correct.
Okay. And it had a lot of people who were dubbed the generals who ran the war room
Correct.
for you. And the war room had 500 to 600 members who paid, I think, $6,000+ to be a member of this. And when you saw the logs of the web chats between people from the war room to each other, a lot of it made disturbing reading. Were you disturbed by it when you read that?
Firstly, a lot of that's bullshit. A lot of that's fake.
Do
Secondly,
you think that literally those logs are fake?
absolutely. Secondly,
But the BBC verified them.
the BBC verified them, but they're the same people who verified the vaccine. Those people, they're liars. Firstly, a lot of them are fake. Secondly, the
Were
war
you
room-
disturbed by anything you read?
No, because none of it's real. Firstly. Secondly, there's 4,000 members in the war room. Thirdly, the war room is about masculine personal development. We talk about fitness, making money, strength. We talk about very important things. There's 4,000 members inside. You're telling me that amongst 4,000 members in 24-hour chat, 7 days a week for the last 5 years, they managed to find 2 guys talking locker room talk, and that somehow offends the world, then nobody understands how the world works. That's not why I was in jail. It's nothing to do with the war room. I was in jail because I spoke against power, because I told the truth about COVID, because I told the truth about the war in Ukraine, because I told the truth about all of these things.
I don't understand why
He-
people would want to put you in jail to say giving your opinions about COVID or Ukraine. Why would they?
Why wouldn't they?
Why would they? Why would they
Because
say? Why would they say that Andrew Tate's opinion
He's
is
delusional,
so
bro.
important on
Andrew
Ukraine?
Tate.
We have to put him in jail. I don't
He's
buy that.
delusional.
Okay, because I was the most Googled man on the planet, and I had a huge affinity with the most troublesome demographic for the Matrix, which is the young masculine youth.
The
people who
Matrix,
you need
here
to
we
die
go,
for,
Matrix.
the people you need to sign off into being
He-
slaves
he
to build
keeps
the roads
saying-
while telling them that
he
they're not
keeps
allowed a point of view, and they're not
saying
allowed an
Matrix,
opinion on anything.
TikTok.
And I was saying
Look at this
things
guy.
which was going against the narrative. And the Matrix, the way it
This
operates,
evasion
uses the
of
MSM to
accountability.
report lies, to inject slave programming
The
into people's
failure.
brains, so that we live
The
lives which are not
failure
good for us,
to
but are
keep
good
it
for
a
them.
buck.
And I was sitting there unplugging it. Why would they sit there and say, we put together this massive psyop, we're gonna convince everybody to inject themselves with poison, and we're gonna lock everyone in their houses, and it's all a lie, and we're gonna let this one
Well, it
guy
wasn't
who
all-
everyone listens to.
Andrew, it wasn't all of that.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. There was
Fine.
there was a new novel coronavirus. Okay. I'll tell you what. It wasn't all of that.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Everyone in their houses, and it's all a lie, and we're gonna let this one
Well, it
guy
wasn't
who
all-
everyone sit there and say, we put together this massive psyop. We're gonna convince everybody to inject themselves with poison, and we're gonna lock everyone in their houses, and it's all a lie, and we're gonna let this one
Well, it
guy
wasn't
who
all of
everyone listens
Andrew,
to.
it wasn't all of that.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. There was
Fine.
there was a new novel coronavirus.
It's injection. That's what I call
I'll
it.
tell you what. I'll tell you,
It
I'll tell you what, I'll
deleted
tell you what the
people.
facts were.
It
and
took
you can
people
then
out.
laugh at them if you wish.
Sure.
But there was a novel coronavirus.
It gave people, certain people, COVID. It didn't prevent against COVID. Yeah. Fauci is a liar, bro. He lied to the people. That dude, he's a scourge. He's a blight. He's a cancer, bro. He does not care about people. He does not care about the people that he says this garbage, this BS too. Fauci, bro, he lied to the public. He said that, bro. Crazy, bro. That dude is a goofy, bro. F Fauci, bro. F that guy, bro. F that guy, man. That joint did not prevent people from getting the vid. Certain people ended up getting the vid. Yeah. Certain people ended up passing away from it. They ended up getting heart disease. Certain people got facial twisting. Certain people, yeah, paralysis. Certain other things. Bro, that deleterious, man, deleterious. People, certain people like Piers, they think the vaccine is a good thing. That thing wasn't even. It wasn't. It didn't like, bro. They wanted people to take something before it was even approved. Like, that, bro.
Which was going against the narrative.
They
And
care
the
about
Matrix,
tyranny,
the way it
man.
operates
That's what
is it uses the MSM to purport lies, to inject
they care about. Power,
things, which was
about
going
control,
against the narrative. And the
not
Matrix,
about
the way
people's
it
health.
operates is it uses the MSM to purport lies, to who you need to die in wars, the people who you need to psyop into being slaves to build the roads while telling them that they're not allowed a point of view and they're not allowed an opinion on anything. And I was saying
Yeah, it's
things
crazy.
which was going against
That
the
pandemic,
narrative.
I did
And
not
the
think
Matrix,
that
the way it
pandemic
operates
was
is it
going
uses the MSM
going
to
to
purport
happen,
lies,
bro.
to inject
You couldn't go to the
slave
gym. You couldn't
programming
go
into
anywhere
brains so that we live lives which are not good for us but are good for them. And I was sitting there unplugging it.
during
Why would they
the
sit there and
lockdown.
say, we put
But
together this
these
massive
celebrities,
psyop,
they
we're
were
gonna
able
convince
to go
everybody
to
inject
places
themselves with
without
poison. We're gonna lock
masks,
everyone in their
but
houses and
everybody
it's all
else was
lie.
not
And
able
we're
to.
gonna let this one
Well, it
guy
wasn't.
Rules for
Everyone
D,
was,
not for
Andrew.
me.
Andrew, it wasn't all of that.
Yes,
It was crazy. It's
That we
crazy,
live
man.
lives which are not good
It's
for us, but
crazy.
are good for them.
Fauci
And I was
said the
sitting there
double
unplugging it.
two
Why would they
masks
sit there and say,
prevent
we put together
COVID.
this
That
massive
was a lie.
psyop. We're gonna convince everybody to inject
That was
themselves with poison,
debunked.
and we're gonna lock
That was
everyone in their houses, and
repudiated.
it's
That was
all a
refuted.
lie. And we're gonna let this one guy
That was, you know what I mean?
sit there and say, we put together this massive psyop. We're going to convince everybody to inject
Unfounded
themselves with
BS,
poison.
groundless
We're gonna lock everyone in their
BS.
houses,
Two
and it's all a
masks
lie.
prevent
And we're going to let this
COVID.
one
Well, it
guy
wasn't
who
all of
everyone
that.
listens
Andrew,
to.
Certain
Andrew,
people
it
put
wasn't all
on
of
two
that.
Yes, it
masks.
was.
It wasn't. There was
Fine.
a
Liar,
new novel
bro.
coronavirus. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you.
Them to purport lies, to inject slave programming
They
into
didn't
people's
want
brains,
people to go
so
to
that
the
we live
gym.
lives which are not good for us, but are
The
good for
gym
them.
is
And I
good.
was sitting there unplugging
Hey.
it. Why would they sit there?
The gym is good. It's good for your physical health. And they don't care about people's physical health, man. They wanted people to be miserable, yeah. That had a negative effect on people's minds, bro. A lot of people were wanted to self-delete. Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Troublesome
So much
demographic for the
crazy
Matrix.
ish
Young
happened.
masculine youth and people who
It's not. People, we are social creatures, bro.
I
Beings.
don't understand why people would want to put you in jail for giving your opinions about COVID.
That's why you couldn't socialize. You couldn't go anywhere, bro. That has a negative effect.
They told the truth about the war in
No,
Ukraine.
you cannot
they told
have
the truth about all of these
I
things.
don't understand why
face-to-face
people would want to put you in
interactions
jail for giving your opinions about COVID or Ukraine.
with
Why would
friends, with family members, bro. You cannot meet new people. Like, yeah, bro. You cannot.
You're telling me that amongst 4,000 members of 24-hour chat 7 days a week for the last 5 years, they've managed to find two guys talking locker room talk, and that somehow offends the world, and nobody understands how the world works. That's not why I was in jail. It's nothing to do with the world. I was in jail because I spoke against power, because I told the truth about COVID, because I told the truth
Yeah,
about the war
certain,
in
I
Ukraine,
mean,
because I told the truth about
certain
all of
business
these
I
owners
don't understand
cannot
why people would want to
operate
put you in
their,
jail for giving your
cannot,
opinions about COVID or
like
Ukraine.
certain
Because
stores
why would they?
cannot
Why wouldn't
operate,
they? Why
bro.
would they? Why would they
Bradley
say-
Martin, he
Why would they say that
couldn't,
Andrew Tate?
like his gym couldn't be open because of, yeah, bro. Yeah, he's in Florida, bro. Yeah, he couldn't. Or is he in Florida now? I think he's in LA now. I forgot, bro. But yeah,
You're telling
crazy,
me that
man.
amongst 4,000 members of 24-hour chat 7 days a week for the last 5 years, they've managed to find two guys talking locker room talk, and that somehow offends the world, then nobody understands how the world works. That's not why I was in jail. It's nothing to do with the war. I was in jail because I spoke against power, because I told the truth about COVID, because I told the truth about the war in Ukraine, because I told the truth about all of these things.
I don't understand why people would want to put you in jail for giving your opinions about COVID or Ukraine. Why would they?
Why wouldn't they?
Why would they? Why would they say that Andrew Tate's opinion is so important on Ukraine that we have to put him in jail?
Well, certain people said that if you don't get the injection, then you deserve to DIE, bro. I think Piers agreed with those people, and he's a goofy for that. He was a goofy for that.
While telling them that they're not allowed a point of view and they're not allowed an opinion on anything.
That if you don't do what, if you don't conform, if you don't do what everybody else is doing, you deserve to DIE, bro. That's crazy, bro. The people that said that, they are unlaudable people, man.
While telling them that they're not allowed a point
Horrible
of view, they're not
people.
allowed an opinion on anything. And I was saying things which was going against
Divisive.
the narrative. And the Matrix, the way it operates is it uses the
Radical.
MSM to purport lies, to inject slave programming into people's brains so that we live lives which are not good for us but are good for them. And I was sitting there unplugging it. Why would they sit there and say, we've put together this massive psyop, we're going to convince everybody to inject themselves with poison. And we're
They
gonna
said
lock
if you
everyone
don't
in
get
their
this
house. It's all a
injection,
lie.
you
We're
are
gonna let
gonna
this one guy, the
delete
only one who's
grandmas and
Andrew, it
delete
wasn't all of
people.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. There was
If you don't wear your mask, you are gonna delete people.
Okay. I'll tell you what.
But COVID has a high survival rate.
It wasn't all of that.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. There was a new novel coronavirus. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what the facts were, and you can then laugh at them if you wish.
Sure.
But there was a novel coronavirus,
Yeah.
COVID-19. It was killing.
Everyone in their houses, and it's all a lie. And we're going to let this one
Well, it
guy
wasn't
who
all of
everyone
that.
listens
Andrew, it wasn't all of that.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. There was
Lie.
a new novel coronavirus. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what the facts were, and you can then laugh at them if you wish.
Sure.
But there was a novel coronavirus,
Yeah.
COVID-19. It was killing thousands of people a day.
Really?
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Certain
Yeah.
people
And
definitely
as well, I know
died
people who died.
from COVID.
I know people who died.
Fred the
before
Godson.
Corona.
Fine, I'm sure
Fred the
people died lots
Godson,
of things, but
R.I.P.
it
Different.
was people who died. I
Who
know
was
people.
it? I know people who died before Corona.
Fine, I'm sure people
Yeah.
died lots of things, but it was killing exponentially thousands and thousands of people, and then vaccines were developed at very high speed, and they managed to save, in my
Certain
estimation,
people
millions
died
of lives.
from the
You may not agree
injections
with
too.
that, absolutely, but those are facts as assumed by the body of scientific and medical experts in the world.
Body of scientific and medical
Certain
experts, you
people
mean,
survived. I know people in my personal life that had the COVID, that got the COVID,
anything they
and
want them to say, so they can use the MSM to purport garbage inside of people's minds. You end up locked in your house, clapping for the NHS, and performing, injecting yourself with experimental poison.
they no
for the
longer
ninth
have the
time.
they no
It's
longer
a lie.
have the
There was
COVID.
no reason to lock everyone in their house. More people died
I
from
am
this
happy that
cancer
they are
appointments than
still
anyone ever
alive.
died of COVID. People always got the sniffles before COVID, and they've always got it since. Your house, clapping for the NHS like a performing seal, injecting yourself with experimental poison for the ninth time. It's a lie. There was no reason to lock everyone in their house. More people died from missed cancer appointments than anyone ever died of COVID. People always got the sniffles before COVID, and they've always got it since. They want them to say, so they can use the MSM to purport garbage inside of people's minds. So you end up locked in your house, clapping for the NHS like a performing seal, injecting yourself with experimental poison for the ninth time. It's a lie. There was no reason to lock everyone in their house. More people died from missed cancer appointments than anyone ever died of COVID. People always got the sniffles before COVID, and they've always got it since. Let me ask you a question.
Hang on, it wasn't.
Where has COVID gone?
It wasn't.
Diseases don't go away.
It wasn't.
Where's COVID
It
gone?
wasn't. Well, the COVID strains have got milder, as indeed flu did. Flu
Oh,
used to
so
kill.
it's gone away.
Oh, flu pandemic in about 100 years ago killed 50 to 100 million people, and it's got steadily milder over the decades since. This is normal medical science pathway for most pandemics, right? So on that, I mean, your sort of cast iron invisible matrix MSM nonsense is palpably untrue.
Well, I'll tell you why that's not. Let me tell you my personal experience with COVID. I'm an extremely logical person. At the beginning, when everyone was dying, dropping dead in the streets in China, which I never saw, by the way, funny, and Italian hospitals were full, English hospitals were never full, funny. Me and my brother sat there and said, if this disease is so deadly and can damage us as strong military-age males, then the world is over. So there's no point in hiding in our house. We decided to go to Sweden. On day one of COVID, day one when everyone still believed, we went to Sweden. Why does no one talk about the fact that Sweden was open the entire time? Why does no one talk about the fact they didn't have masks or lockdown or vaccines? My brother and I partied in nightclubs 7 days a week for 3 entire months. Everyone was locked in their house.
Sweden actually had a number of restrictions.
No, when I was there,
Not as not as draconian as we had in the UK, and there are certainly legitimate questions to ask about the scale of our lockdowns. I think people panicked. They saw what was happening in Italy, which had the second best medical healthcare system in the world, and people were dying in massive numbers, and the hospitals were overrun. So people may have panicked.
did you hear about the guy who died in a motorcycle crash? It was a COVID death. Did you hear about that one?
Well, there was certainly
Downing Street didn't seem very concerned with
there was a
COVID.
long debate about people dying of COVID or with COVID. I know all that, but the bottom line for me, it is indisputable that COVID was a deadly pandemic that killed a lot of people. It turned out a lot of older people more than young people.
Immunocompromised.
At the time, not for a long period.
They
The vaccine
a
saved
higher
millions
risk
of people's lives.
of
There are legitimate
passing
questions about
away.
some of the boosters, about some of the side effects of the vaccines, as there are, by the way, with all vaccines. But the idea that COVID is some invention by the Matrix to suppress and control its people is for the birds, Andrew. It's for the birds.
It seems the birds and
And I
I are friends.
don't think a smart guy like you actually believes that.
Of course I
And that's one of my
absolutely
problems.
believe that.
One of my problems I have with you is that I think you are intelligent, but I think you also adopt positions that you know are going to get the
It definitely was about control. Piers doesn't want people to
and
believe
it's just this
to.
all-encompassing
doesn't
views you
want.
have. COVID was a load of nonsense. Vaccines are all dangerous at killing more people than they
Never
say.
said that. I
No,
said
but
COVID vaccine.
well, COVID
Yeah.
vaccine. Well, you don't think they worked?
No, of course not, because the idea of
Of course
the
they
vaccine,
worked.
the word vaccine in and of itself is that you
They
get,
saved millions of lives.
if you get a vaccine,
Certain
you don't
people-
get the disease. They changed the definition of vaccine in the dictionary so they could continue to inject us with this pointless poison. I had the vaccine for polio, I've never had polio. You got the vaccine for COVID, and you're bragging online how you have COVID for the 8th time, but it's not that bad because you've had 6 injections. It's insane. And please understand my position. Please understand, I'm a person who doesn't believe any of these studies, don't believe this garbage, don't believe the Matrix. I'm a person who was in Sweden for 3 months, as everyone was afraid, locked in their houses, partying at will,
Sweden
and
had-
it was perfectly fine. They had a lower death rate than the UK.
They had a much higher death rate than their neighbouring countries in Scandinavia. Did you know that?
They had a lower death rate
Did you
than
know
the
that?
UK.
Did you know that?
It doesn't, no, I didn't know that.
Doesn't
It
matter to you.
Of course not.
So you wouldn't compare them to their immediate neighbours. You'd only compare them to a country in the UK.
If you think lockdowns work, if you think lockdowns.
I think lockdowns were only acceptable as an immediate
They did not
panic
benefit
move, which it
people.
was before there were vaccines. The moment they had a successful
Like, there was
vaccine
abuse,
program
certain
that
people got
worked,
abused.
then there was no justification for further lockdowns.
You're a very important
Like,
person.
people-
and you're very well respected.
I'm not
Like people,
important,
like
I'm a journalist.
No,
a
you're
lot of
very important.
students,
Very well
like
respected in the UK.
they were not
Famous for
performing
that.
as well because because the environment was different.
As
There's
an
a
immediate,
lot of
panic
bad,
which it was before there were vaccines.
It was horrible,
The moment
bro.
they had a successful vaccine program that worked, then there was no justification for further lockdown.
You're a very important person. and You're very well respected.
There were vaccines. The moment they had a success, so you wouldn't compare them to their immediate neighbours. You'd only compare them to a country in the UK.
If you think lockdowns worked, if you think lockdowns.
I think lockdowns were only acceptable as an immediate panic move, which it was before there were vaccines. The moment they had a successful vaccine program that worked, then there was no justification for further lockdown.
You're a very important person, and you're very well respected.
I'm not important, I'm a journalist.
No, you're very important.
He's
and You're very
important.
well respected within the UK. You've been famous for a very long
Yeah,
time.
facts.
Were you invited to the party at Downing Street, or were you not? That's
No.
No? Well, that's a shame.
And I thought the
But
behaviour...
they seemed very concerned about COVID on the TV,
And by the way,
they
I
didn't
thought-
seem to give a shit
and I
as the
thought-
TV was
I
on.
thought that was disgraceful, and I thought Boris Johnson and the people working at Number 10 who were having those parties, when I had friends of mine who were literally saying goodbye to their mothers on FaceTime on their phone because they weren't allowed in to see them. I knew people in care homes where it ripped through and killed a third of the people in the home in 2 weeks. And the desperation that people felt. I had a cousin who lost his father who couldn't go and see his dying wife and so on. There were
disgusting.
There were terrible stories.
It's criminal.
Terrible stories.
It's disgusting. So let me ask you a question as a professional, because we're both adults and we're both very smart. As a professional, which is more likely that the government believed COVID was deadly and everybody should be truthfully afraid and locked in their houses, but because they had this spirit inside of them and they couldn't resist the idea of a party, decided to risk their lives to party, or They lied on the television trying to scare everyone and enslave them and lock them in their
Mentally.
houses, knowing it's garbage, knowing it's a lie, and not caring, and had a party behind everyone's backs and didn't think they'd get caught. Which one is more likely as a professional, as a logical you?
Why don't we just agree that they were a bunch of rank hypocrites, stupid people who were behaving utterly selfishly, to the extent that the Queen, when her husband, Prince Philip, dies, is in the church on her own, in a mask, with none of her family around her after losing a rock of 70 years, and it turned out the night before, down the street, it had, I think, 2 parties, including a karaoke party. I think that was shameful and disgraceful.
Well,
So we can agree on that,
We
right?
can agree on that. We can wake up and start to realize, oh, maybe the government doesn't care about us. Maybe the government
Yeah.
lies to us.
Yeah.
Maybe they tell us things and try and scare us, but they don't actually care themselves.
Program.
Maybe all they are is hypocritical, self-interested people.
Maybe
Mind
not.
control.
Maybe they use the MSN to purport their lies, to keep everybody enslaved. Well, they do whatever they want. And that is the matrix in and of itself. And if you speak against it and people listen to you, I'll repeat this. Your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. If you're as big as I was, the most Googled man on the planet telling the truth, you will pay the price, Piers. And that is why I was locked in that cell. And I do not regret
I don't
it,
agree that he
because I
was
am
put in
truly
jail
gone.
because
I'm
of
not gonna
that,
sit here
though.
as a coward
But
and not tell the truth.
I see what he's
for as long
saying.
as I live until they put a bullet in my head.
Let me ask you about the lover boy method. So the suggestion is that you and your brother and others, but let's talk about you, that you deploy the lover boy method, where you would make women fall in love with
Manipulation,
you, with them persuade
deception.
them to do webcam
You say
stuff, right?
nice
Yeah, but wait,
things